Hello everyone, welcome to Diving Deep. And this is our final episode in the Diving Deep series in the Book of Numbers. It's been quite a ride, it's been quite a dig, and it's been quite an uncovering, hasn't it? I've so enjoyed doing this. And it is just remarkable, just how much points to Jesus Messiah. I mean, throughout the Old Testament, there are so many types and shadows and signposts that point to Jesus. If we're willing to believe in receiving revelation. Okay. All right. Well, let's not delay this any further. We last left off in chapter 35. We're discussing cities for the Levites, where the Levites shall live amongst themselves. Okay. And as we went over in the previous episode, they will have each city will basically have the same design. They'll be given an area of land which measures 2,000 cubits on all four sides: north, south, east, west. The city is right there in the middle, and it's surrounded by this common land, which is used for raising their flocks and their herds and whatnot. It's just God's provision, and He's providing quite a bit of provision for the Levites. All right. Now let's scoot over to verse 6. Now among the cities which you will give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee, and to those you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48, and you shall give with their common land. And the cities which you will give shall be from the possession of the children of Israel. From the larger tribe you shall give many, from the smaller you shall give few. Each shall give some of its cities to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance that each receives. So, remember, the Levites don't fight. Their job is in the priesthood. Yes. So they receive from portions of inheritance from the rest of the tribes. All right, that's and from these portions of land there will be a total of 48 cities for each for the Levites. Each one following the same precise design set forth by God. Here in chapter 35. Now, you have 42 regular cities. But then you have these 6 cities of refuge. So what's a city of refuge? Well, in ancient Middle East, custom dictated that the taking of a life, even by accident, had to be avenged by a member of the victim's family. So in response to this ancient practice, God ordered 6 Levitical cities to be stationed as in the land as cities of refuge. A person guilty of unintentional manslaughter could escape blood revenge by fleeing to one of these cities, no matter where the person lived there would be a city of refuge within a reasonable distance, because these cities were strategically spread all over the land, 3 to the east of the Jordan River and 3 to the west. The Hebrew term translated refuge or asylum designates a place of escape from the avenger, who was the protector of the family's rights, the one who made things right. All right. So, it's very specific what the purpose of these cities are. If you unintentionally kill somebody, I don't know the circumstances of how someone could kill someone by accident. By them, I really can't say, but obviously it happens. Otherwise, God wouldn't have bothered to create these cities of refuge. All right. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint cities to be the cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person accidentally may flee there. They shall be cities of refuge for you from the avenger, and but the manslayer may not die until he stands before the congregation in judgment. And the cities of which you give, you shall have 6 cities of refuge. You shall appoint 3 cities on this side of the Jordan, and 3 cities you shall appoint in the land of Canaan, which will be cities of refuge. These cities shall be for refuge for the children of Israel, for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there. But if he strikes him with an implement so that he dies, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he strikes him with a stone in the hand by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall surely be put to death. Or, if he strikes him with a wooden hand weapon by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer, the murderer shall surely be put to death. The avenger of blood himself shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. He shall put him to death. If he pushes him out of hatred, or, while lying in wait, hurls something at him so that he dies, or in enmity he strikes him with his hand so that he dies, the one who struck him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. All right, so let's go back a bit. Okay, it talks about a manslayer. So manslayer is apparently someone who kills somebody unintentionally, by accident, or maybe things got out of hand and the two got into a fight and one dies in the process. Perhaps there wasn't the intention to die, but it just happened. That's manslayer. And obviously, a manslayer and a murderer are 2 different things. Yeah, a murderer commits murder, whereas a manslayer, well, he commits what we call today as manslaughter. Yes, it's a lesser degree of killing someone. Now, God is very, very specific. Mercy is shown to the one who unintentionally kill someone. Yes, there is mercy. There is refuge for the one who commits sin in ignorance, who didn't intend to do what he or she did. He extends refuge. He extends mercy. He extends grace from the avenger of blood. Now, as we said before, the avenger of blood is a family member who has a right to avenge his family member who was killed, whether it was an accident or not. The avenger has a right. Now, notice that God does not do anything to hinder the avenger, because he honors the avenger of blood's right to seek vengeance. He's simply offering a place where the manslayer can hide until he is judged, until he is given a fair trial. Where he can at least plead his case that it was an accident. And it'll be up to the prosecution to make a case for intentional homicide or murder. Okay. But as we read, for someone who commits sin intentionally, there is no city of refuge for that man or woman. No refuge. That man or woman who intentionally killed will be at the mercy of the avenger of blood. And it's unlikely the avenger will have any mercy for him or her. Okay. Verse 22. However, if he pushes him suddenly without enmity, or throws anything at him without lying in wait, or uses a stone by which a man could die, throwing it at him without seeing him, so that he dies while he was not his enemy or seeking his harm. Okay. Yeah, this, you're really starting to get the understanding, where motives of the heart, intentions of the heart matter to God. Jesus said, you have heard it said, you shall not commit murder. But I say, anyone who is angry with his brother without cause has already committed murder in his heart. So as you can see, there is what's going on in your heart does matter to God. It always has mattered. There's always been that standard of what's going on the inside. Did you kill with ill intent or without ill intent? There is a difference. One might say, well, in both cases someone is killed, the punishment should be the same. No. In one case, God is willing to offer mercy, and in one case, He's not. It all comes down to the intentions. What's on the inside? What kind of heart did the murderer / manslayer have? When this unfortunate thing happened. All right. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Was not his enemy. Then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of blood according to these judgments. So the congregation shall deliver the manslayer from the avenger of blood, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he had fled, and he will remain there until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with the holy oil. But if the manslayer at any time goes outside the limits of the city of refuge where he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside these limits of this city, the avenger of blood kills the manslayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer may return to the land of his possession. All right. There's a lot of symbolism here. A lot of types and shadows. All right, let's review. The Avenger of Blood. You know, the Avenger stands up for the innocent. You know, whether someone was killed either with ill intent or by accident, without ill intent. You know, the victim, the crime victim, was innocent. So the avenger stands up for the innocent. Well, who do we know is an avenger for the innocent? Jesus. Yes. Jesus is the avenger of blood as a judge, you know. I mean, it says in the New Testament, Jesus will avenge the ones who suffer for him. You know, we don't take revenge for ourselves. He'll do it for us. That's what Paul says. Yes, Jesus is the avenger of blood. Now, the cities of refuge. That represents the grace of God. You know, where refuge is offered for the one who did commit sin, though it was unintentional. If the manslayer can make the city of refuge, if he can enter in the city of refuge, as in enter in the salvation of God, then he won't face the judgment from the avenger of blood. You come into salvation, and you won't face the wrath of God for your sins. You know, Jesus won't be your judge. He'll be your Savior, and he'll be your Lord. Instead of judging you, he will take you. And that goes for me too. You know, something else worth pointing out here. You know, the grace is extended only to those who sin in ignorance, by accident. There is no grace or mercy extended to the one who sins intentionally, who chooses to sin, even though he or she knows it's wrong. There is no refuge. And if you go back into some previous episodes when we discussed sacrifice, there is a sacrifice for unintentional sin, but there's not one for intentional sin. So, you know, if you think, you know, that you can just do whatever you want. I mean, you can just do something that you know is wrong, but you just brush it off and saying, "Oh, God will forgive me." Think again. Now, if you want to live a life of intentional sin, there is no refuge for you. And if I want to live in intentional sin, there's no refuge for me either. Anyone who does that would have to face Jesus as judge, the avenger of blood. Yes. Revelation 19:15. That's the Jesus that those who intentionally sin will have to face. And there's and also where it talks about how if someone leaves the borders of the city of refuge, decides to walk out of the refuge, then and the Avenger of Blood finds him or her, then the Avenger of Blood will have a right to dish out revenge, avenge for the sin. So that's symbolic too. I mean, if you decide that no, Jesus is not my Savior, He's not my Lord, and you don't want Him to be your Lord anymore, and yes, that has happened, you are choosing to leave the refuge that God has provided for you. Yeah. You can indeed abandon your refuge, and you will no longer have it on Judgment Day. That's the message being sent here. Okay, and one other thing. It says, the manslayer can remain in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest, and then he can return back home. Well, Jesus is our high priest, and through his death, we have freedom. There you have it. Types and shadows. They're everywhere. All right. 29. And these things shall be a statute of judgment to you throughout your generations and in all your dwellings. Whoever kills a person, the murderer, shall be put to death on the testimony of witnesses, but one witness is not sufficient testimony against a person for the death penalty. Moreover, you shall take no ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And you shall take no ransom for him who has fled to his city of refuge, that he may return to dwell in the land before the death of the priest. So you shall not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the land, and no atonement can be made for the land for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. Therefore do not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell, for I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. Okay. Last chapter. Chapter 36. Marriage of female heirs. Now the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the families of the sons of Joseph came near and spoke before Moses, before the leaders, the chief fathers of the children of Israel. And they said, the Lord commanded my lord Moses to give the land as an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel, and my Lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. Okay, that took place back in chapter 27, verses 1 through 11. The daughters of Zelophehad, argue their case that despite the fact that they were female and not male, they should receive their father's inheritance. Moses took it before God, and God said, yes, they should. All right, so let's continue. Verse 3. Now, if they are married to any of the sons of other tribes of the children of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So it will be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of the children of Israel comes, that's the 50th year, every 50 years, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of their fathers. So what they're saying is, if these women are allowed to inherit land, and they marry members of other tribes, well then that land will no longer belong to that tribe. It will go to another tribe, and they're just saying, this should not be. Our tribe should not be losing land through marriage. It should not be. Okay, so this is what. So, verse 5, then Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, what the tribe of the sons of Joseph speaks is right. That is, what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry whom they think best, but they may only marry within the family of their father's tribe. So the inheritance of the children of Israel shall not change hands from tribe to tribe. From every one of the children of Israel shall keep the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be the wife of one of the family of her father's tribe, so that the children of Israel may possess the inheritance of his fathers. Thus no inheritance shall change hands from one tribe to another, but every tribe of the children of Israel shall keep its own inheritance. So in other words, a woman who doesn't have an inheritance of land, I guess she's free to marry into any tribe she wants. But if she does receive an inheritance, well, then her choices become limited to the tribe members within her tribe. She can only marry in her tribe, depending on whether or not she holds land. Because there is a higher purpose to be served. That the land that's been designated for the 12 tribes remains the same way. So, and this only applies to women who have land. Going back once again, chapter 27, we talked about how God created rights for women and respected their right to own land. It's the same thing here. Yeah, really the same thing. Okay. But it's more about clarification of those rights. Okay. All right, in verse 10, just as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad, for Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, were married to the sons of their father's brothers. They were married into the families of the children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of their father's family. These are the commandments and the judgments of which the Lord commanded the children of Israel by the hand of Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. And we did it. Okay, we have made it to the end. Well, this was a great study. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and what to do for our next study, I don't know, but I totally believe it's going to be amazing. Until then, God bless.